So here we have the bit of history of what's called Odiham Castle now, once called St John's Castle. So let's run through these in order. After the French siege of 1216, King Henry VIII commissioned repairs to Odiham Castle, a document of the roll of 1225 records, 20 chars of lead being purchased at 27 shillings and 6 pence from Lincolnshire, and the mend of the roof of the tower. A further 50 shillings worth was later required from Winchester. One char equalled a cartload weighing approximately 1 ton, the roof weighing an impressive 22 tons, supported by the buttress and central column. Looking up, you will notice 2 lines of joist holes indicating different floors. The highest row indicates the upper floor, and the lowest at the level of the main floor. Like spokes of the wheel, beams would have radiated out of the central column into those angles. Note the doorway above on the left would have been richly decorated main entrance, and the adjacent large square hole is thought to have been an albany or cupboard. In 1236, Henry gave Odiham his young widowed sister Eleanor of Pembrokeshire. Eleanor soon remarried the French noble Simon de Montfort. He was invested in the 7th Earl of Leicester, and together they transformed the castle into their residence. So that's what impression of what could look like. Don't know how much of this is actually based on true facts of people. So Simon was popular, and his political and religious views caused several confrontations with Henry. In 1216, Simon and his oldest son left Odiham for the first time to lead the second baronial rebellion against the Plantagenet monarch. Simon met his death during this battle of Evesham, fighting an army led by future King Edward I. Eleanor was exiled to France, never to return. Unfortunately, she took with her household rolls, one of which few surviving medieval domestic records show that how comfortable the Montforts lived and how generous they were to the poor. Fantastic. So here we have the remnants of the castle, and we're going to do a quick view around there and over here. So next off is King Edward III and Queen Philippa of Hainault. 7 years after Eleanor began her exile, King Edward I came to throne, improving the castle during his reign and spending the Christmas of 1302 here. He was succeeded by Edward II in 1307. His weak rule saw Edward Castle damaged by Edward Le Roy, along with the Dispenser family took in and out the tower of the king. The castle had been repaired after the Ewer was evicted and attempted to retake it by force in 1322. Edward's queen Elizabeth forced the king to abdicate in 1327 in favour of his son Edward III. Edward III was a powerful king, unlike his father, who soon granted Edwards to his new queen, Philippa of Hainault, and it reverted to a hunting lodge. He began the 100-Year War and founded the Order of the Garter. The fireplace was above the upper row of joist holes was a feature of the main bedchamber, but the herringbone tiles are a later date. The main fireplace shared its chimney with the bedchamber fireplace. The broken ends of the large carved stones that once have held in the fireplace hoods are still evident. Windows in the castle would have been composed of a fragile yellow glass pieced together with a lead framework. Okay, so Edward III and Philippa retire to their bedchamber. You can see here. And then we have King David II under house arrest. Philippa possibly had a garden laid out within the grounds. Evidence of deliberate tree planting was found during the 1980s excavations. At the Battle of Neville's Cross in 1349, Edward's army captured David II of Scotland. Edward spent most of the captivity in the Tower of London, but he was so imprisoned at the Odiham for 3 years. He was also provided with a well-furnished room, good food, wine and other luxuries. Finally, with a ransom of 100,000 marks paid, he returned to Scotland in 1357. Okay, so look again at the there. We can see that there have been holes there where they would have had the one floor level, and then you can see above there's another floor level there, though not so clear the holes on that side. You can see that they were there. So final one then, King John. King John, when King Richard the Lionheart was killed in France in 1199, the English throne passed to the youngest brother John. Between 1207 and 1214, King John had a castle built here. Built as a stronghold, but primarily used as a hunting lodge, he defended by a series of deep moats, carefully inspected of the walls of the outside reveals, and the impressions of the cut blocks in the stone, and clad the entire castle in small square, put long holes, and held the wooden scaffold during the building works. John's reign was a turbulent affair. Disagreements with the Church of France and his English barons created much hostility and uncertainty. In 1216, the English barons persuaded King Philip of France, with the promise of English throne, to his son Louis to pressure John to creating fairer land and taxation rules. Under duress, King John rode here to Runnymede to put his seal of the Magna Carta, where the barons saw the little change of the heart of John and called in Louis and his French army to invade England. Louis launched an attack on Odiham in 1216. The siege took place here, lasting 2 years, and the defenders were allowed to surrender on the French, and amazingly find only 13 English soldiers present. On King John's death in 1216, Henry III became the King of England, owner of Odiham Castle.